A PlayStation exclusive, a game set in an alternate version of history in the 1950s, where an alien civilization known as the Chimera have invaded and conquered Earth, and are rapidly expanding their armies by capturing humans and transforming them into monster-like super soldiers to fight for them. Today we are taking a look at Resistance Retribution, a third-person shooter video game developed by Bend Studio for the PlayStation Portable. Released in 2009, this is the only third-person shooter game in the Resistance series, as all the other games feature a first-person perspective. But is this title worth your time today? Well, actually yes it is. So let's quickly find out why. Well, the very first thing that this title has going for itself is the fact that this is a PSP exclusive. This title was only available for the PlayStation Portable, which makes it really unique. It's not a port. And yeah, it really feels at home on the PSP. If you are a fan of PlayStation exclusives, then this title is not gonna disappoint you at all. It has everything. It has a good story, it has amazing gameplay, it has fantastic voice acting, and the presentation is also really good for a PSP title. The story follows the adventures of a British Royal Marine, James Grayson. Grayson's brother Johnny, who was also a soldier, was partially converted into a chimera while on a mission to destroy one of the Chimeran conversion centers, and Grayson had to kill his brother, reluctantly following protocol regarding the infected soldiers. But that caused him to suffer a nervous breakdown and he deserted his troops. He went berserk and took out several conversion centers on his own. Eventually he was captured by the British and put to trial for capital crimes, where he was sentenced to death for desertion. But luckily for Grayson, just before his execution, he was visited by a member of the European mainland resistance movement known as the Marquis, Lieutenant Rain Bouchard. She offered Grayson a reprieve in exchange for his aid and knowledge on conversion centers, as he was the only one who had destroyed so many conversion centers on his own and definitely had a ton of knowledge about them. Though initially reluctant, Grayson agreed to the deal when he found out that Bouchard and her father were developing a serum to counteract the Chimera virus. So he is released as a mercenary contracted to the Marquis. The very first campaign mission starts in Rotterdam, and as you progress through the story, you are going to be traveling to locations such as Bonn, Germany, Luxembourg, and eventually to the main Chimera Tower in Paris, France. I'm not gonna spoil the story for any of you guys who haven't played this title yet, but it's a fantastic story featuring some amazing characters and great voice acting. The main protagonist, James Grayson, is a really cool character, and yeah, he's gonna grow on you really quickly as you progress through the campaign, and some of his dialogues are gonna stick with you long after you've played through this title. And then the presentation is fantastic for a PSP title, like I said earlier. And yep, the presentation and story combined really make you feel like you're a part of this full-scale war between mankind and Chimera. There's so much stuff happening all around you, you really feel like a part of it, and this was a huge achievement to be made possible on the PSP. And then the gameplay is just fantastic, it's even better than the story. The gameplay is actually quite similar to the Gears of War series. Instead of pressing a button to get into cover, your character automatically goes into cover as soon as you get close to a solid object like a wall or a table, etc. And yeah, you can then pop out and shoot. There is a generous targeting frame present on the screen, and if an enemy is within that frame, you are automatically gonna lock onto them. The camera or targeting was handled by the face buttons, which was obviously clunky, but the devs had no other option since the PSP was handicapped with a single analog stick. That's why they gave you a generous frame, so you just have to target in the general direction of an enemy and you are automatically gonna lock onto them. And this system worked fine most of the times. The only issue that occurred with this aiming system was when an enemy type called the boilers appeared on stage. And that's because you cannot lock on to them and they can be only taken out with a headshot. So if you were out of sniper ammo, it was a real chaotic situation with the boilers coming out, and they always came out in good numbers. To deal with situations like these, and for those who wanted to be more precise, the game also has a pre-aim mode. You can press up on the D-pad in order to go into free aim mode. It gives you an over-the-shoulder zoomed-in view, but you lose the auto-lock, so now you have to rely on the face buttons in order to track the targets, which was not easy. But it was not game breaking or anything like that. All it did was that it made the encounters with the enemy type called the boilers really annoying. The cover based shooting on the other hand is really enjoyable and as fluid as possible on the PSP, and no issues with that at all. Then the really hot stuff, the weapons. Weapons include your ballistic firearms made by human beings and then alien technology as well. Every weapon has a secondary fire mode, which is like really cool. You've got the ballistic rifle called the Storm Rifle, which is the standard issue for all resistance soldiers, featuring a grenade launcher in its secondary fire mode. Then you've got the Chimeran energy rifle, which fires energy rounds obviously, and in secondary fire mode it can be charged up to fire a disc-like projectile, which ricochets from target to target, taking out multiple enemies at once. Then you've got the sniper rifle. Press up on the D-pad to zoom in and take those cool headshots. Or go into the secondary fire mode by pressing the left shoulder button and slow down time to take out those targets in Max Payne style. Then you've also got a shotgun to clear those targets up close. And if you like blowing up stuff, you've got grenades and you've got a rocket launcher, and in secondary fire mode you can pause a fired rocket mid-air and then you can choose to relaunch it or detonate it right there, which is like super cool. And then you've also got a really special weapon called the auger, which lets you hit targets behind solid cover, and in secondary fire mode it gives you the ability to generate a shield in front of you. Then there are several other weapons present as well, such as the chain gun, which also has the ability to give you a force shield, and then you've got a weapon called the longbow, which fires a dart type of projectile, and in secondary fire mode it can fire multiple darts at once, and it is really effective in taking out drones and hybrids with a single shot. And then you've also got some special weapons that you can unlock by collecting intel and stuff, like a special grenade launcher which fires sticky grenades, and then there is a magnum that you can unlock as well. So there is a ton of weapons present in this title and all of them are useful, and the secondary fire mode makes the use of weapons really fun and enjoyable. The sound designs for all the weapons is also fantastic and gives them a unique personality. So yeah, the weapons are a ton of fun to use. Ammo and health orbs are scattered throughout the map, and yeah, the enemies, they also drop ammo. But yeah, the ammo for some of the special weapons like the auger or the really special weapons such as the special sticky grenade launcher and stuff, it is actually pretty rare, so it is better to conserve and save for the big boss fights, as this game has quite a few of them. Then you've also got mounted weapons present in certain sections of the game, and in particular parts of the game you are going to be controlling a giant mech. These mechs, they have regenerative health and they have a machine gun, and then they have an explosive attack as well. And the sections of the game where you get to control the mechs, it's like really cool, and it breaks away from the regular shooting and gives you something new actually, and it's really refreshing and really fun. So yeah, the gunplay, the weapons, the mech sections, everything is fantastic, but there is one more thing that is just fantastic in this title, and that is enemy design. This game throws you into a full-scale war, and it's now time to know your enemy. The Chimera, they come in all sizes and shapes. So you've got your regular hybrids, and then you've got their advanced versions with armor, and then you've got the steelheads. These are guys who've got augers so they can shoot through cover. Then you've got tiny spider-like creatures called leapers, and then you've also got slip skulls. These guys are like apes and they are like really fast, and it's better to use a sniper rifle or the razor, the Chimeran rifle, to take them out. Then you've got the boilers, whom I've already mentioned earlier. These are actually former ladies and they have now turned into these chimera creatures, and they have no weakness in their bodies except for the fact that their head is vulnerable, so you have to take a headshot in order to kill them, and if they get too close to you and you've not managed to kill them, they are gonna blow up and they are gonna do a ton of damage to you. Then you've got special underwater creatures called the sirens, and they are really hard to take down while they are moving, so it's better to wait for them to stop swimming around. and take an energy shot or an auger shot to take them out, and you have to be underwater in order to deal with them, which is like crazy. Then you've got the brutes. These guys are like gorillas and they can do a lot of damage and take a decent amount of punishment before they go down. And then you've got even bigger guys called the titans. They are massive and yeah, they take a lot of punishment before they go down. And then this game also has these really mysterious creatures called the Cloven. They actually rarely attack you, but they are really scary to look at and yeah, really mysterious. Then you've also got drones and stuff. So yeah, there is a lot of variety in the enemy department and the enemy design is fantastic. But there's one thing remaining, the bosses. Yeah, this game features a ton of really cool boss fights. You've got these hulking mechs called the hammers and you're gonna be fighting against them on multiple occasions in the campaign, and later on you're also gonna be able to control them, which is like really cool. Then you've got this flying chimera called the Angel, and it's like a huge creature. It flies around and it's got a shield around itself and is really typical and tough to take down. Then you've got this chimeran worm like drilling machine called the Burrower that you're gonna deal with, and then there are dropships to deal with, and there are creatures called the Mega Fury. The fight against the Mega Fury takes place underwater and is really challenging, and then you've got two more major boss fights against two major characters from the story. The final boss fight against the creature called the Chrysalis is like really epic, and yeah, the overall enemy design is just fantastic. Graphically also, this title is actually pretty good for a PSP game. And the game also has some amazing cutscenes. And one more thing to know is that if you had a PS3 along with the PSP back in the day and you owned Resistance 2 on the PS3, you could actually unlock additional content on Resistance Retribution by connecting it to the PS3 Resistance 2. And you could unlock the infected mode, giving you some new features such as an infected Grayson with glowing eyes and some new cool weapons and stuff. You would also get a new uniform and regenerative health in the campaign mode, and the storyline would also be altered as the characters would now behave differently towards Grayson. So yeah, fantastic storyline, great characters, amazing voice acting, fantastic weapons, and the shooting mechanics are also really good, except for the boiler part where the controls they do feel a bit clunky, and then the enemy design is also outstanding. The sound design is also fantastic. The explosions, the guns, everything sounds great. And graphically also, this title is actually pretty good for a PSP game and manages to capture the scale of war pretty nicely, which is a huge accomplishment to be made possible on the PSP. And yeah, you've also got several difficulty levels in this game. So yeah, between those difficulty levels and a decent amount of collectibles, you've got a ton of replay value, as you're going to be able to unlock better versions of your weapons and also be able to upgrade your weapons with better capabilities. So yeah, if you love PlayStation exclusives or are into PSP games and PSP emulation, definitely do check this one out. It's totally worth your time. And yeah, these games are teeny tiny in size and they pack a huge punch. And if you love PSP games, definitely do check out the video I made on a highly underrated PSP shooter, The Third Birthday. Thank you very much for watching. Peace out.